Friedrich Merz has effectively destroyed his chancellorship in just 1 year, becoming the least popular major politician in Germany.
It's not looking great. His approval ratings are very low.
1 year ago, Europe's political establishment hailed Merz as the man who would restore Germany, revive Europe's economy, and provide strong leadership for the continent.
We've had some European leaders already taking to social media to congratulate Friedrich Merz. We've had that, for example, from the Cypriot president, who says that it's an important victory at a crucial moment for Europe.
Today, his approval ratings have collapsed to historic lows. His coalition is fragile. Public anger is rising. And many Germans increasingly believe that their government is prioritizing war, debt, and geopolitical ambition, while Germany itself continues to weaken. Hello, I'm Michael. This is Southern Realism, a channel about power, geopolitics, and decline. Merz was elected promising stability, fiscal discipline, and conservative restoration. Instead, many Germans now see his government as weak and disconnected from the country's growing economic and political anxiety. One of the biggest turning points came early on, when Merz abandoned Germany's traditional fiscal restraint.
Since February's election, his focus has shifted, perhaps antagonizing his own camp, away from immigration control and budgetary restraint, and towards military spending, even at the expense of the country's strict deficit rules.
Germans were told for many years that discipline was vital for stability and growth. But suddenly, billions of euros were available for military spending, infrastructure spending, and the geopolitical aims of Europe's elites.
A massive financial plan to overhaul both the military and economy. Germany's conservatives and social democrats unveiled proposals on Tuesday to set up a 500 billion euro fund for infrastructure over the next decade and a plan to revise borrowing rules to boost defense spending.
This happened while Germany's economy was already declining following the destruction of the Nord Stream pipeline, which cut off the country from the inexpensive Russian energy that German industry had depended on for decades.
Sabotage at sea, that's what President Biden is calling the leaks and explosions along the Nord Stream pipelines. The Russian gas lines are essential. They supply 35% of gas from Russia into Europe.
Germany's industrial model was built on affordable energy, manufacturing strength, and exports. Well, that model has been severely damaged. Yet instead of aggressively pursuing a solution to Germany's energy crisis, Merz continued backing sanctions on Russian gas and oil and confrontation with Moscow.
I want to make this very clear. Easing sanctions now, for whatever reason, is something we believe is wrong. We will continue our support for Ukraine.
The consequences of all this were predictable and are now visible across the German economy. Manufacturing weakness, industrial decline, and a rapidly shrinking auto industry, which has rippled out with damaging results across the economy.
And when German automakers suffer, it affects the entire German economy. Manufacturing makes up 19.7% of the gross domestic product in Germany. The latest figures show that the Volkswagen Group saw profits almost halve last year, from 12.4 billion euros in 2024 to 6.9 billion euros in 2025.
For many ordinary Germans, confidence in the economy and the future of the country is extremely low. To a growing number of people, this feels like managed decline.
Chancellor Friedrich Merz is facing collapsing approval ratings, economic stagnation, and growing anger over migration and rising living costs.
At the same time, Merz has taken an increasingly hard line on the Ukraine war. Rather than pushing for a negotiated settlement, which would have stopped the killing and enabled Germany to potentially reconnect to its pre-war energy supplies, Merz positioned himself as one of the most hawkish voices in Europe against Russia.
In the person of Chancellor Merz, the most irresponsible leader of Germany in decades, actually, he is an outright warmonger.
Merz has continued calling for Germany to build Europe's strongest military, with massive new spending on tanks, long-range missiles, and drones.
Merz seemed to have determined in his mind that he would base his government's policy on remilitarizing Germany.
Unable to revive Germany's once strong auto industry, Merz has advocated turning the country into a weapons manufacturing center.
Germany's new chancellor has vowed to build the strongest army in Europe. Friedrich Merz says the continent must remain united in the face of a hostile Russia. Merz also said Western allies should not accept a peace dictated by Russia to end the war in Ukraine.
This is nothing like what German voters expected when Merz took office. No wonder so many Germans began feeling disconnected from their leadership. While the political class talked about military power and Europe's strategic future, ordinary Germans were dealing with job losses, energy price hikes, and the negative impact of mass immigration and the declining trust in the political system itself.
Politiker wissen doch gar nicht, wie es hier überhaupt abläuft, oder?
In the world's third largest economy, 20% of the population is at risk of poverty. Many feel left behind.
Ich bin auch der Meinung, dass die Politiker mal eine Woche hospitieren sollten in sozialen Einrichtungen, damit sie auch merken, wie das Leben wirklich ist.
And despite growing public anger over mass immigration and the lack of border control, Merz has continued to allow hundreds of thousands of more immigrants to fill up Germany's cities.
Today, around 3.5 million refugees live in Germany.
He's also continued to refuse to cooperate with the Alternative for Germany. The CDU's natural coalition partner on the right is the Alternative for Germany. Instead, Merz aligned himself with the center-left. As a result, the AfD, the Alternative for Germany, has made massive gains.
The Nationalist Alternative for Germany, or AfD, is surging nationwide, with polls now placing it ahead of Merz's Conservatives.
Merz's actions have created the impression that preserving the existing political order matters far more to Germany's elites and establishment parties than actually responding to the concerns driving millions of voters away from both the Christian Democrats and the Social Democrats.
Last week at a meeting of trade unionists in Berlin, Merz was booed and jeered while trying to promote the government's upcoming economic reforms.
Wir, meine Damen und Herren, wir begrenzen die Ausgaben in allen Bereichen.
And now the political consequences are becoming impossible to ignore.
The most unpopular head of government in a democracy. Who do you think that is? Maybe Donald Trump? Maybe Emmanuel Macron of France? Nope. According to one poll, it's Germany's Chancellor, Friedrich Merz.
84% of the public are now dissatisfied with his job performance. Public trust is gone. Germany's political center has been destroyed. And the AfD now drives public debate and looks to be on the verge of turning its popularity into real power. Germany was supposed to stabilize Europe. Instead, Germany appears increasingly unstable itself, thanks in large part to the massively unpopular Friedrich Merz.